Awesome. Welcome live. We are on day 2 of 90K 90 Days, the Masterclass. Welcome. I am recording on 2 different devices today. Over on this side over here. You might see my eyes bounce back and forth a little bit because I want to give you guys equal playing time. But over on this side, we have the XMH Empire, which is my free private community for female entrepreneurs, which is hosted on Facebook. So welcome if you're live over there. Go ahead and give me just a quick comment and say hello. Over on this side, we're live on Instagram for day 2 of 90K 90 Days. So welcome in for all of you guys. Eventually, this particular recording is going to be repurposed onto a landing page as part of our sales sequence. So we're going to make a super clean recording for you guys today. I'm going to aim for about 60 minutes of content, same as yesterday. So if you're joining us for the first time today, just know that this is day 2 in a sequence. Day 1 has already been recorded, where we talked about some key things that you must have in place in order to create the result of 90K in 90 days. Yesterday, I also shared my story about 3 specific times that we have created the 90K in 90 days result, which is such a vibe. And they were in very, very peculiar times in life. One, when I first got pregnant with my first baby about 3.5 years ago, a little longer than that. The second time was during the pandemic, when we had to completely restructure our business model because the way that we were making money during the pandemic was no longer available, and we had to start over. The third time that we have hit 90K in 90 days was a season right after I had our second baby, who's now still under 2 years old, really exciting. And I just literally wasn't available to work a ton of hours. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to hold her. I wanted to nurse. I wanted to just be available, which meant that I could only work about 1 to 3 hours a day. And so this summer, I'm also, once again, cutting my hours pretty drastically just to live life. And I noticed that a lot of people that are in what I call the self-development space, whether they are coaches, entrepreneurs, conscious entrepreneurs, mentors, course creators, and even to some brick and mortar business model people, they're really starting to analyze where they can be more present in their life. They're realizing that they've hustled, they've worked really hard, they've tried a lot of different things to grow their brands, and also they're realizing that the juice isn't worth the squeeze and they want to live life again. And I keep on hearing this in conversation. So first, I just want to do a quick temp check in the room. Let me know if you feel this summer. Are you feeling this feeling of like, if it were possible to create dramatic results that I've never created in business before, and I could be the person that created a 90K outcome in 90 days, I would absolutely want to do that. Raise of hands if that's you. This summer, you want to travel, you want to play, you want more time to just be. Personally, for me, I am doing some breath work, somatic work, body work. You know, I have 2 babies. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I just desire to be able to go hang out with them in the middle of the day. We want to do more beach trips, right? We want more freedom in life. But like I said yesterday, I'm just not willing to sacrifice the amount of money that I'm used to. So if you're newer to my world, I'm Xtina Harmsworth. I am a multi-million-dollar revenue generator. I've built multiple different brands. I've helped a lot of people build their own brands past 6 figures and beyond. I've been doing this since roughly 2019. My passion in this industry is to help people to hit consecutive 100K to 500K years. Not to do one successful launch, but to become the type of person that can create these results over and over and over again. So I love money. I just do. I love money. I have zero shame about that, because what I know is money gives me the opportunity to have the quality of life that I desire with my favorite people. And so when it's framed that way, I have zero freaking shame about loving money. I love sales. I love to create more money. I love to help other people to create more money and results in their life. And this is my mission. It's what I do. So if you're newer to this space, welcome into the conversation. Again, we're on day 2 of a 2-day free masterclass. Every single month I create content kind of like this, where I would normally charge to create this type of content, but I personally leveraged other people's free material as a huge piece of how I grew my company. And so I love to pay it forward. And about once a month, I go ahead and I create content like that for you guys to tap into. We're also going to talk about this today as a sales model. Yeah. So in day 2 today, we're going to focus in on this 90K in 90 days concept. We talked yesterday about some key things that you've got to have in place, right? And today we're going to talk a little bit about the sales model of it, the strategy piece of it. So if you're here for that, go ahead and drop me, if you're live, by the way, go ahead and drop me like some fire in the comments. Just let me know that you're all the way in the room. Bring yourself all the way into the building. Bring your whole body in, bring your whole mind in, and we're going to train together for about the next 55 minutes. Sounds good? Deal? I'm ready. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is, we created the 90K in 90-day outcome, and I now do way more than that, but 90K in 90 days became the outcome that I was after. And the most recent time that we did this on limited hours, I was working 1 to 3 hours a day. So physically put that on like a garment and as a possibility. Wrap yourself in the possibility of, wow, if this next 90 days, I committed to work 1 to 3 hours a day within my brand, and that produced $90,000 in revenue for me, extra above and beyond what I was already doing. Imagine you don't wake up and stare at your phone. Imagine slow mornings. Imagine yoga, lifting weights, walking outside if that's your vibe. Imagine reading books. Imagine finally having the space to journal. Imagine tapping into your emotional intelligence, your frequency, your resonance. Imagine putting your health as a freaking priority. Imagine loving this body temple better, this one and only body that's going to carry you through this life. Imagine that you get hyper specific about what hours you're available to be on your phone and in service with the magic that you create in this world. And imagine when you're done putting the phone down. Imagine dinners, no phone. Evenings, no phone. Going to the park. Going to a concert. Taking a trip. Going to bed at a decent hour without having blue light in front of your face before you fall asleep. Imagine no longer obsessing about sales or performance or how you're being perceived or whatever it is. Imagine no longer hitting refresh all day. Okay? Imagine a completely different way of life. Put this possibility on like the lightest linen shirt and pretend that this is your new reality. Try it on for size. And tell me, if your summer looked like that, how does it feel? How does that feel for you? Personally, this is how I'm living this summer. They say that a lot of inner child work is literally just going back to who you were as a kid and living the way that your inner child, like you as a kid, desired to before all the stuff. So I'm having a beautiful summer. I'm calling it the soft life summer. I'm calling it my favorite summer since my inner child. I'm going back to a lot of the things that I did as a kid in the summer. And I'm putting my work and my service to this planet in a little compartment of my life. And I'm going to serve to the maximum when I'm in that compartment. And when I'm not in that compartment, I'm complete. Now, this is going to be a massive mindset shift for some of you, because what I noticed by far and away, I've worked with probably, last year we had 274 clients across all of our spaces. So a beautiful number of people were served within our communities last year, entrepreneurs and just women in general, some of their husbands, which is a big vibe. So imagine nearly 300 clients last year. And one of the top things that I noticed across the board with all of their brands is that their sales equated to their self-worth. And there was this connection. It was like a tangling. There was a tangling of self-worth, performance, and money. And I kind of forgot about this until recently, when I was really thinking about and reliving the concept of creating $90,000 cash in 90 days. And I remember back in that season of having Maeve, I remember I had to self-coach. None of my mentors had babies. None of them understood what it felt like to be in postpartum, not sleeping well, just really trying to be present and be a conscious mother and also create $1 million outcome. That was my goal back then. They didn't get it. I couldn't make them get it. And so a lot of my time I spent self-coaching. I created incredible habits with my brand, and I would go hit my benchmarks. If you're watching this right now and you're taking notes, which I highly suggest, or if you're taking notes in the comments, write down, hit my daily benchmarks. I want to drive something home for you as entrepreneurs, and some of you are moms and some of you are not. Some of you are just, you're an artist, you're a human being, you want to live better. I had daily benchmarks in my business that I figured out I had to hit. And when I was done hitting those benchmarks, I would self-coach myself and I would say, Christina, that was enough. You have to trust that this is enough. You gave it your best. You did what you know works. Put the phone down. Trust. Trust yourself. Trust that you're worthy. Trust that this is enough. Trust that if you don't post 6 times a day, people aren't going to forget about you. I'm going to do a quick temp check right here. If you guys didn't see me post for a week, would you forget about me? Would you forget that I exist? Would you stop looking for my content? I don't forget my people. I don't forget people exist. I would ask what's wrong, but I wouldn't forget. So during this season of having only 1 to 3 hours per day to work because I was nursing a baby and I was a new mom, I remember thinking, okay, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I've been coached by the best people in the industry. I've spent $300,000. Think about that. That's like purchasing a home. I could have bought a house. Instead, I bought information. So I've been working with the top people in the industry. I knew what to do, and it was a matter of hitting some benchmarks daily, then putting down the phone and trusting this is enough. I am enough. My work is enough. My words are enough. What I gave was enough, and trusting God. This is where faith served me so hugely. It's like, okay, they say faith without works is dead, correct? So there's some people that just feel like, okay, like I'm going to manifest stuff and I'm just going to think it into existence. There are pieces of that are accurate. You can think things into existence, but you can also accelerate. Somebody type the word accelerate. If you're taking notes, right, I can accelerate the process. You can accelerate the process with aligned actions. So my faith was like, yes, I am building a legendary brand that's going to help a lot of people in this world. I'm doing something really worthwhile with my life and my talent. I'm showing up because that's my aligned action with my faith. And then I give it to God and the angels and everything that's for me and everything that's holy. And I say, this was enough today. And you set the phone down and you let it go. When you don't have good boundary lines around your time, you don't let it go. When you permit yourself to obsessively stare at the phone and hit refresh and double check your notifications and your inbox just to see if anyone cared about what you wrote or did they ask for a link, etc., you're permitting this obsession. And it's an unhealthy entanglement of energetics around your self-worth and your ability to be seen. And in my opinion, you push your result further away because you're obsessed about whether it happens. Versus trusting. Does that make sense? Is this landing home for any of you guys? Now, for me, I didn't have the opportunity to obsess. I wouldn't give myself the opportunity to obsess because I just chose. I want to be present for my kids, and whatever happens, happens. This is why I'm asking you, and I asked you yesterday, will you leave your old results outside of here? Will you check your past at the door? Will you take the past off? The past that you've had in business, maybe some past failures, maybe some past successes and how you got those. Because if you got your success in an unaligned way, perhaps it's time to also check that. So take your past off like a garment, like an old jacket, take it off, lovingly put it on hanger and check that at the door. Because whether you've made money in the past really well, but you've done it in an unaligned way, or whether you've made no money and you're bringing that into the conversation, I just want to ask you to leave it out there. Let's talk about a difference. Is that fair? I just wanted to set some context for this before we dive. So 90K in 90 days on a few hours a day, it takes a strategy. It doesn't take obsession. It doesn't take like obsessively being on your phone all day long. It doesn't take being available for people all day long. It doesn't take, feeling like if you don't answer immediately, you're going to lose the sale. It doesn't actually take that. I have evidence of this because I wasn't available. I had 1 to 3 hours a day. That's it. We still created $90,000 in 90 days. But here's the strategy piece. Do you recall yesterday when I talked about a concept called social media hygiene? We have personal hygiene, which is on a daily basis. There are certain things you do. For me personally, I love a good shower. Like I'm that person. Sometimes I shower 3 times a day. I just like a good shower, right? So shower is part of my hygiene. But what do you do every day? You brush your teeth. It's part of your hygiene. You don't really skip a day brushing your teeth, typically, right? It's not typical. It would be atypical. So your hygiene is this thing you do every day. I brush my teeth every day. I put on my deodorant every day, right? These are hygiene. Can we agree? Hey, Anthony, good to see you. Like the piece about this is with social media, you also, to hit $90,000 cash in 90 days, you have social media hygiene. And to be clear, I am talking about organic strategy. So all the money that we created like this, it was organic. This was not with paid ads. This wasn't with, joint ventures or anything like that. This was organically me creating the outcome. So of course you have the option to do things like paid ads. We're not talking about that here. We're talking about organic social media strategy. And there are social media hygiene pieces that you do every day. I'm curious for you guys, what do you think that I'm going to say would be social media strategy if you were truly in the belief that you were creating a $90,000 cash outcome in the next 90 days? When I ask you to use your noggins, what do you think I'm going to say? Especially if you watched yesterday, what do you think I'm going to say is a piece of your social media hygiene? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Or if you're catching this on replay, put it in your notes. What do you think I'm going to say? That's interesting. Okay, so Megan, who's watching in our Facebook group, she said going live daily. For me, that's a no. I just don't. It's too much work. It's too much energy. I can't. I've seen someone else do it and they got burned out real bad. I've seen a couple people do it, actually. It's not my preferred method. Okay. Megan said, yeah, so much work. She put the sweat emoji. Erica says, post intentional content that adds value. Close. Yeah. Tanya said, selling daily. Gina said, showing up with intention. If you are looking to elevate your strategy, I'm going to give you 2 key pieces right now that you can go put into effect as soon as today. And the first piece is, for me personally, this year, I made a commitment to create content that has the capacity to go viral on a daily basis. I'm going to give you 3 of those. Reels are something that if you tap into, you have the possibility of going viral and being seen by other eyes besides who already watches your account. Reels is one way to do audience growth mode. We talked about this yesterday. Audience growth mode activated. This would mean for 90 days, you want to do one of the following: Reels. If you're real smart, you want to connect your Instagram and your Facebook account and let it cross-post so that you're getting on 2 platforms a day. So Reels is 1. Write it in your notes, write it in the chat. Reels is number 1 for audience growth. 2, carousels or infographic content. You want to give people value and also show that you know your stuff. Right? The third piece is more like value-driven long-form posts. That's more for the Facebook algorithm. They can be repurposed on Instagram too in specific ways that are specific to the Instagram app. I personally show up in at least one of those ways every single day because I'm committed to having cash results. There's a lot of people who want cash results, and I saw the most incredible post about this today. I saw one of my peers in the industry. He said a lot of people they say they want to be a millionaire because they want to spend $1 million, but they don't actually want to make $1 million because the make part, the make part is the one that will grow you. It means a commitment. It means social media hygiene. You see? How many of you are like, yep, you got me. I want to spend $1 million, but I don't really want to make. Making. The WORK, that 4-letter word. I don't want to work. But if you're smart about how you work, it doesn't have to be this tumultuous, insane thing where you're like obsessed and your self-worth is tangled with it. It's about developing proper social media hygiene, which is everything that I do with my clients inside of my mastermind, Locked and Loaded. So let's go deep. So you've got audience growth mode activated. That means that you want to be showing up in one of these ways every single day. Personally, I tell my clients start with 2 platforms. So the two places that you feel most aligned with. If you love LinkedIn and you love YouTube, start there. If you love Facebook and you love Instagram, start there. But consistency, first and foremost, being hygienic with your social. You gotta show up. Audience growth mode activated every day. That's piece number 1 of your strategy. Anybody here for piece number 2? If you are, drop me fire 2 times for piece number 2. Now, you guys may have seen me. You might not, depending on how new you are to my world. But earlier this year, I personally decided that I was going to create 1 reel every day for 365 days. Now, that's a hefty commitment. I don't expect everyone to do that. It does take quite a bit of effort and energy, but that's where I was in my brand. I was already averaging $1 million a year. So I was like, if I really wanted to go bigger, what would it take to go bigger? And it would be becoming more viral. So my commitment this year was every single day I'm going to create content that could potentially go viral with the intention of going viral and see what comes of it, right? So that was my audience growth commitment for the year. So what I'm asking you, you might not be aligned with reels every day, but I'm asking you for 90 days, would you be committed to creating the types of things that can go viral and can be seen? It requires a yes in your body and you creating safety around being visible, because it requires you to take your account off of private. It requires you to make your account public. It requires you to be open to people who don't agree with you and being able to look at that. But you can, I promise you. When your vision is big enough and your why is big enough, you can handle looking at it when people don't like your content. I promise. It's not that bad. I promise you, the people who end up changing their lives because of the things that you put out there into the stratosphere, it will far outweigh the 1 or 2 people that disagree with you. I promise. I promise. Okay, so piece number 2, and this is what I really truly want to focus in on today, is I let somebody brainwash me a couple years ago, and it was one of the best brainwashings I have ever had. I'm actually curious from you guys, were there any phrases that shifted your belief yesterday and you walked into today with a little birdie named Xtina in your brain? Little key phrases that shifted for you. A couple years ago, I let somebody brainwash me in the best way possible. I tapped into trainings like this. I've tapped into trainings like this for God about a decade now. And the person said a key phrase, kind of like I've been saying the key phrase, 90K in 90 days. I'm programming you. I'm programming you with the idea of $90,000 cash in your hand inside of 90 days on top of what you're already making. And I'm programming you with the idea that with proper social media hygiene, you can do this in under 3 hours a day if you want. Programming you. What else came up for you guys? That's like a little phrase that you heard in the last 24 hours with me that you're like, oh snap, you just rewrote my program, girl. What belief has already shifted for you? $1 million years as a mom. That's a fun one. Possibility. What else? So I attended a training similar to this, and this person said, if you want to get paid every day, you got to sell every day. If you'd like to become the kind of person that wakes up to PayPal dings on your phone and Stripe notifications every morning, you actually have to put something in to get something out. It's like having a baby. Got to put something in to get something out. There's a divine exchange here. You want to get paid every day, you got to sell every day. I took that single thing. I probably paid maybe $300 for that particular program, 222, 333. It's always the angel numbers, you know. And I took that phrase and I wrote it on my vanity mirror, and I just told myself, like, I am becoming the kind of person that lets myself get paid every day. And in order to do that, I sell every day. This is the exchange. This is a part of the $90,000 outcome on top of what you're already making in 90 days, is that you make a commitment to sell daily. Psychology here, I'm going to teach you just a smidge about sales psychology, is they say that right now it takes around 26 exposures. So write this down in your notes, 26 exposures before people really understand what you're selling, how it works, and whether they want to buy it. Whereas back in the 90s and early 2000s, it took 6 to 7 before people knew for sure whether they were buying or they weren't buying. Like, are you serious? Why? Because we live in a social media economy, a social media landscape where billions of unique pieces of content are being generated daily, plus ads on top of that, and people are being like barraged with information and opportunities every single day. So because they have so many opportunities, it takes 26. So I want you to just file this into your business model and ask yourself, have I even shown my brand 26 times? There are so many of you who you're making a rush judgment on your value, your worthiness, and the success of your business when you haven't even given it a viable shot. Can you truly say that you've given people 26 opportunities to see what you're about and what you sell and a way to buy it? A lot of people haven't. Or they jump so quickly from one thing to the next that people can't figure out what you sell. The concept of the 90K in 90 days is this social media hygiene where you're super clear on your offer suite. You're not going to switch it up and change it up 46 times. You've got a crystal clear thing that you're selling towards. High ticket is part of it, and you're selling every day. There's such a big difference in your time budget when you've got your phone, which is the ultimate sales device. I'm obsessed, right? You've got your phone on deck, and you're asking yourself, if I seriously only had an hour, and this was my one shot today to put my glorious work in front of the world, have I talked about my offer, how it works, who I serve, who it's for? Have I done that yet today? And if you only had an hour to do it, you would budget your time so much differently. You wouldn't go down what my husband and I call the scroll hole, which is the Reels page on Instagram. You wouldn't allow yourself to go down that scroll hole if you knew I've got one shot today to put my glorious work out there into the world and give people a way to buy from me. Have you ever noticed with like personal hygiene on the weekends when there's a whole day to do nothing? You might not shower and do your makeup and brush your teeth or whatever you do for your your get ready vibes, your hygiene. See how it takes so much longer in the day to get to that point if you have nothing planned? Does anyone else do this, or is it just me? Like sometimes on a Saturday, I won't even brush my teeth until like 11 o'clock in the morning because there's nothing on the calendar. So I have endless time to do the thing, and I don't have strategy or a deadline. Does anyone else do this? This is you in business as well. This is the nature of humanity. I forgot what the law is, but there's a law that basically says like the amount of time that you allow for something to take is the amount of time that it takes. So if you have no real true destination of social media hygiene, like these are the different targets that I'm hitting. This is what I'm selling. This is where I'm selling it. These are the things that I'm saying about it. And these are the places that it needs to go daily. If you don't have that, and you have 8 hours available to work because you haven't given yourself, okay, this is my time margin of when I do this on my phone, you will stretch this unendingly until you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, shoot, have I posted a reel yet? Have I sold in my stories? Have I sold anything today? It's really easy to go down the scroll hole. Agreed? If you've ever done it, just hashtag scroll hole. Scroll hole is also the death of self-worth. It is the ultimate comparison freak out. It is the ultimate idea generator. Like, oh my God, I could create something like hers or like his, or what about this great idea? But then do you go do the thing? Do you integrate the idea? Does it ever happen? And this is why I'm like, all right, you want to do 90K in 90 days, you got to tighten up your social media hygiene and ask yourself, okay, how much time am I actually allowing myself to do these things? And what am I doing? What am I really serious about doing? Is it making sense? This is what it takes. Fun, right? So I'm here to reprogram your beliefs. I want you, for the rest of time, when you pick up your phone, I want you to be aware that there's a scroll hole and you can fall down it. I want to program you with the words, I'm enough. This was enough. My work today was enough. I walked in alignment and now I put it in the hands of God and my angels and everything that's for me. And I'm going to set this phone down and I'm going to be complete. And I'm going to trust. And I'm going to relax and allow. The thing that has been frustrating for me is there has been a really misleading push towards quote unquote feminine energetics in business. And these feminine energetics in business, often to me, and to be very clear, I have paid over $100,000 to be in a year-long mastermind with a lot of other women who had million-dollar dreams, and some of them left broke. Some of them made their money back. Some of us more than 10x our investments. That would be me. But what I witnessed there was a lot of people saying, you know, like, I only post when I feel fully aligned. You know, I'm in my feminine. I work when I feel the desire and the push. Like, I work in flow. And their bank account is not in flow. And there's a lot of lying, and there's a lot of hiding, and there's a lot of misleading things in the social media landscape of coaches and mentors claiming big numbers, and those are sometimes also lies. And I know because I have witnessed people not being able to pay to be in the mastermind, and they have to leave, but they're claiming big numbers on the internet, and it's messy. And so I am one voice on the internet that talks about the fact that if you want to be able to say to yourself, I did my best. This is enough. I did it. I showed up. I showed up for my targets today. I know what my targets are, number one. Number two, I showed up for them. I gave it my best shot, and my best is enough. And now I'm going to go put the phone down and live my delicious life and trust. That's masculine structure, and that creates the ability to flow in your feminine. People don't want to talk about that. They want to act like they materialize wealth from thin air. And they manifested it with their manifestation orgasm in the bathtub. And I'm like, no, like the people that you see really making millions, it's because they have targets. They are so strategic. They are so on it, and they do the thing. And if they've really cultivated safety in their body, they trust themselves that that's enough, and they let go. In the letting go, once the thing is done, is like the art of allowing. So there's both and. Just wanted to squeeze that in there. So it's important that you know how to sell, what to sell, and where to sell. And because we have about 20 minutes left in this training, I don't have spaciousness to teach all of that in this space, although I wish that I could. But it's important that you have key targets and that you do a little other swear word. You know, work is the first swear word that I'm introducing back into the conversation because people want to act like you don't have to work. I can tell you, as someone who's generated multi-millions, there was work involved. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I'm not going to act like you just manifested out of thin air and it falls through your ceiling. It doesn't. So there is some work involved. There's some commitment involved. And there's a swear word called tracking. If you're live, write that word in the comments. Tracking necessary. Tracking necessary. 2 words. Tracking necessary. Why? You can't maximize what you don't track. We are such emotional beings, especially when it comes to business, because sometimes our self-worth can be wrapped up in how fast things are happening or how slow things are happening, how much money we're making, how many eyes are on our accounts. And it really matters that you track. It really matters that you track. Me personally, I have had the biggest revelation in this while doing a body transformation. Last year in November, I was just really moved to take control of my health as an entrepreneur. I want not only a life that people would kill for, like I want the best life ever. My quality of life matters to me so much, which is why I love money so much. But on top of that, I want to have the body that's going to carry me into that stage of my life in my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I want to have muscle and a strong back and strong legs and a strong heart and a strong mind. And that has to do with how I take care of this body temple right now. So I made a commitment last year in November to do some things with my health and my emotions and my physical temple. And it required me to start tracking. My Aura ring is on a charger right now, but I literally wear a ring that doesn't give off EMFs, praise. And I track my sleep hygiene, my resting heart rate. I track a lot of metrics that I wasn't even aware of before. I choose to track things like my macros and how active my body is. But most things that are like the biggest importance to me is, do I recover when I sleep at night, and how ready am I to perform during the day? Before tracking, all of my decisions about what I ate and how I felt about my body were strictly emotional. It was based on what I could see that day in the mirror and how I felt in my head in that moment. business is the same. If all that you can see is the events of that day, how it looks that day, what your metrics are that day, who's liking your post today, who's buying today, and you're not tracking what happened the whole last week and the whole last month, if you're not tracking your efforts, if you're not tracking what exactly did you do to get the result that you're getting right now, you're literally working only on emotional data, and it's destructive to women in business. Personally, I am so here for bringing some masculine structure back into business. I'm so fed up with people leading with their numbers and hype and false hopes about creating big wins just on energy. And I'm like, ugh, this is so wrong on so many levels, because that's not it. So it requires that you track some things. Us, inside of Locked and Loaded, my mastermind, we have a tracker that gets turned in every single week. Because as my clients know, you can't maximize what you're not tracking. You'll make all emotional decisions, and you'll make judgments about yourself and your worth based on what you can see today. Instead of counting up everything that you've done that led up to this point, this shows that you are amazing, and you are dedicated, and you are brilliant, and you are committed, and you're showing up for yourself, and you are stacking results in your favor. This is the compound effect in business. I want to circle back to a story that I started yesterday, where I talked about the first time that I ever created a $100,000 launch. It did not happen overnight. It was a whole 90-day stretch. The culmination of my efforts exceeded $100,000, and it took a whole 90 days to get there. Did you hear me? Some things take a second to build, and that's okay. But people stop the building process 20 days in because they make an emotional decision about what they can see that day. And they're not looking at all the micro steps that they've took so far and how those steps have taken them into momentum, which is going to turn into the compound effect and will turn into big sales if they don't pull the plug. But because they're not tracking, they pull the plug on the whole endeavor. Or they obsess and they stare at their phone and they hit refresh. And having to hold the feeling of that intense anticipation is too much for them, and again, they pull the plug. Do you see what I mean? And have you ever done this? If you don't track, you have no evidence to go back to and say, like, well, what actually worked and what didn't work? We did about an extra $140,000 in business in the last, 7 weeks or so, on top of what we normally do. And if I wasn't tracking, I would think that I was a failure. I would think nothing was working. I would think it was no big deal. But because I track and I look at it, I know. I know what worked. I know what doesn't. I know what's changing in the industry. This is the topic that I want to bring up to you next. The industry. When I say the industry, I mean it kind of loosely, and I'm just going to do a quick temp check right now. Roll your shoulders back, take a deep breath, because we're going to talk about something a little bit big right now. Okay. I want to talk about the industry of sales. Did you hear me say yesterday that as it pertains to becoming financially free and becoming a huge financial success, when it comes to entrepreneurship and unfathomable wealth, the top bracket that is unmatched in terms of pathways to do this is sales. There's no cap on sales. You can make as much as a neurosurgeon. I do. Weird, right? Not college educated. I went for like a semester, right? Instead of going to college, I took classes like this. I learned from the top people in my field, 30 mentors, 30 of the best and most in integrity entrepreneurs that I could find, who taught me how to create courses, how to give amazing classes, principle-based teaching, copywriting, sales acumen, integrity and leadership, how to be a better coach and mentor. All of these things. And I checked last year, just out of curiosity, I checked to see like what is the top 1% in America? And the top 1% makes like maybe $400,000 or $500,000 a year. Crushed it. I looked up what are the top paid careers, and I saw things like athletes and neurosurgeons. Crushed them. The very top tier of entertainers and athletes, which is in like the high millions, right? Like 30 million, etc. I know coaches making that because they can sell. Sales is the key. But the bigger conversation around sales is that there has been this thing in the sales industry, especially in the personal development space, coaches, mentorship in the last few years, I would say since about the pandemic. And the trend that I have seen is that people lead with hype. People lead with mysteriousness. People have asked their audiences to buy on energy. People have led with how much money they're making and not with the result that they can help the client get. They have led people with, asking you to buy from your sacral, asking you to buy from your FOMO. Have you seen this? With a lack of evidence of what they were offering, what the deliverables were going to be, and how they could serve you. Now, me personally, I've spent about $300,000 on mentorship, and I have zero regrets, not one. Because even when it felt like it didn't serve me, it served me. I'm a person who can gold mine out of a trash pile. It's just who I am. But for me personally, I know that there's a lot of people who have felt a lot of risk in their body and a lot of unsafety in their body. They've bought a lot of things on hype, on money wins, and on the scarcity of having the deal be pulled away. They've bought things on pre-sale. They have bought things on, just being told you've got to buy something bigger to get something bigger. Trust me, I make a lot of money. Trust me, I have flashy branding. Trust me. And then you get behind the scenes and it's not exactly what you were hoping for. Has anyone had this experience? Like, I'm not playing victim here. I've just had this experience. I've spent $30,000 to get into a mastermind and gotten into their mastermind and realized that they teach exactly what I teach. Did I gold mine out of that experience? 1,000,000%. I learned a ton. I turned it into my own 10x. This is my standard. For every investment that I make, I 10x it. It's who I am. So I'm not a victim of that situation, but I learned. I learned to ask better questions. What's involved in your offer? Who else have you helped? What am I going to learn here? And on top of that, I learned that what we offer in my company, it's equivalent to a university degree. If I wanted to produce a new chief marketing officer for my brand and double my brand, I would put them through my trainings. If I wanted someone to understand exactly how to cultivate an audience, how to create reels, how to create carousels, how to write incredible copy, how to create stories, how to sell in stories, how to do a live masterclass, the sales model that I use, excellent client care, how to be a better coach and mentor, leadership qualities, how to make a program. If I wanted to teach someone this, I would put them through my program. Because Locked and Loaded was created for exactly that. I asked myself, if I had to start over at ground zero and build another $1 million brand from scratch, and it had to be able to be a brick and mortar company, it had to be service-based, it had to be able to be used by coaches. If I had to start from ground zero and build more 7-figure companies, what would I need to know? And I said to myself, I'm going to pretend I have amnesia, and I'm going to say, from start to finish, what do I need to know to make 7 figures? And that's what I teach my clients inside of Locked and Loaded. But the way that our industry is set up, with a lot of people selling on mystery and selling on hype and selling on, promises of how much money they've made, I learned my lesson from buying that way. And instead, I decided I'm going to show people exactly what they get when they work with me. And I'm going to choose to sell a different way that allows people to sample my work before we work together. I'm going to honor people's yeses and nos as sacred. I'm going to show them what it is to be with me behind the scenes. And I'm going to allow them to check in with their nervous system and their safety and their yes and no. And no matter what they say, it's sacred to me. And this is the way that I sell. This is revolutionary in our industry. In the self-development space, to know how to sell like this is a big deal. Because people aren't buying so easily off of money wins. And people aren't buying so easily off of straight up mystery and secret offers and hype. People want to know what the heck they're buying. And it's transformational for you to know how to sell this way. With transparency, consent, and respect. A balance of masculine and feminine energetics. This is my world. Welcome to it. Moving out of today, I want to say selling is different. Even the programs that I taught last year on sales, they're remarkably different this year because I've walked this path. My take on sales has such a more conscientious and consent-based aspect to it. And if nothing else today, I hope you're walking away with a few things. One, a realization of what it actually takes to create that type of lifestyle that I started in with. $90,000 cash extra on top of what you're already making. I hope that day one or module one of this is going to help you to see these are some things that I should have in place if I'm going to go after this. I hope that from today, you're realizing that there are strategic things that you must do in business in order to create such a result. You can manifest all day long, but if you don't have aligned actions, it's going to take a crap ton longer. So developing that right hygiene is huge. And the third piece that I want to say is there's a lot of selling tactics that worked even 6 months to a year ago that just don't work anymore. People are a lot more cautious. They've been burned. And it's our responsibility as entrepreneurs with spirituality and integrity around our word to be able to give people a different way to buy. So I hope that this has been hugely, hugely helpful for you today. I'm going to move into giving you a few different opportunities as we close out this 2-day experience. The first opportunity is you can take everything that you harvested from today and you can go put it into action in your brand as soon as right now. If there are pieces that you heard and you're like, oh, I'm definitely not doing that. I'm definitely not doing that yet. Just go do it. Bring it into your work. That's the point of these trainings. I often get messages from clients that say, listen, like I took what you said in your free masterclass and I made an extra 10 grand this month, and good for you. That's the point. Go be that person. That's opportunity number one. I wish you literally the best of luck this month on all of your sales. And now I'm going to move into some paid opportunities to work together. I'm going to tell you a few different things that we can do. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Tanya. Monica's one of my locked and loaded babes. So yesterday, I hinted at the fact that this summer, I'm teaching my clients exactly what I'm doing to elevate sales on 1 to 3 hours per day. This whole training series, it's starting now. The first component of it, I'm going to flip my notes so I don't miss a darn thing. The first piece is called consensual sales. If you'll do me a favor, write the words consensual sales. We named this program Consensual Sales because it makes me think of the words consensual sex, which is how you want it to be. You want integrity, you want respect, you want intimacy, you want conscientiousness in your partner, right? You want it to be a win-win on both sides. You want your intimacy to be consensual. Same with selling. This week, we open up something called Consensual Sales, and it's going to be a 90-minute plus deep dive on the way that I sell. It's a mastery of both masculine and feminine energetics in selling, and I'm going to be going super deep. Just this module alone, which is suitable for men and women to take, I wish more men would take this freaking class, but it's going to show you the way that I have seen the most world-class brands this year selling in an aligned way that has huge integrity, huge respect, and it's not just manifesting and hoping it works. So if you want to learn my way of selling, it drops in this week. It's going to be Wednesday. And if you're catching this on a replay later, you can always get it later, like later in the summer. You're welcome to it. Just reach out. So piece number one is called Consensual Sales. And that kicks off 6 more weeks of training. So you can get Consensual Sales on its own as a intensive for 90 minutes. And right after that, we're going to kick off a 6-week intensive sales program. This is the bigger picture of how to sell, where to sell, dialing in what you sell. If you don't have offers dialed in, we're going to have an opportunity for me to coach you on your offers and get your offer suite banging for this summer so that you can hit that 90K in 90 days mark. If you watched yesterday and you're going like, I don't really have my offer suite in place, I don't have a high ticket offer, like we're going to have a space where you can dial that in, but you have to, you got to dial that crap in, right? So our 6-week sales course this summer is called Permission to Sell. This is the what, the why, the where, the how to sell. If you are serious about doing 90K in 90 days, get yourself into this place. Permission to sell. You're never going to feel funny about selling again. I am going to brainwash you to fall in love with selling for the rest of your life. It's going to be the thing that makes you happy, and then you're going to have the happy PayPal and Stripe dings or however you receive money. That's the point of it. I want to get you paid, but we've got to get you selling. If you know you have to get better at selling, drop in there, Permission to Sell. So those two would be my first recommendation. Consensual Sales kicks it off. Then you have the opportunity to do a 6-week program with me called Permission to Sell. My team has just put links for that. If you catch this on our landing page, it'll be underneath the landing page. Right after that, we're opening something late this summer called the Millionaire's Desk Sales Suite. You'll find in business, there's a sequence to everything that I do. Everything is sequential. every action builds on the next action to create money momentum. This summer is our sales focus. I want you understanding exactly the model for selling, number one. And number two, I want to get you selling this summer. That's my whole journey. Sales is our focus. Why? If you want to get paid every day, you need to sell every day. Get it? I want to see you sell. This is my freaking mission. I want to get more money in your hands. I want to see more people having 100K months, 100K years. My clients are already getting that. I want to create more of you. So I want to see you escalating in sales this summer. But at the end of that 6-week program that I was explaining, the Permission to Sell program, we're going to open up something called the Millionaire's Desk Sales Suite, and it's going to be like pledging a sorority. Write this down. Write sales sorority. And I actually got this idea from someone who was live on Instagram, Merle. She messaged me earlier, like last month. I think it was last month. And she said, I bought something from you earlier this year. And one of the biggest reasons that I bought it was because of the feeling that you give me around sisterhood. It felt like an American sorority. And I was like, that is so interesting. She said, you should use that in your marketing. And Raven and I were driving around. Raven is our ops directress. I like directress better than director. Raven and I were driving around, and I was like, I didn't get to pledge in college. Like, I wasn't in college long enough. I didn't have the opportunity to do some of the things that younger people do these days. And I just feel like I missed out on something. And I am the queen of redeeming the time. I'm the queen of this. If I missed out on something when I was younger, I do it now. I'm like, give me the experience. I'm gonna love on my inner child. My inner child grew up way too fast. I didn't have the opportunity to get my college paid for. I was working even when I was in college. I was just like, listen, like, I didn't get to do sorority. So I asked her, like, what's a sorority like? Like, what are the key components of a sorority? And so we Googled it in the car. She was like, okay, so there is a community aspect. There's a scholarly aspect. I'm like, scholarly aspect? She's like, yeah, it's like there's a focus on learning and scholarship, like becoming smarter. And there's like key performance pieces of being in a sorority. And I was like, this sounds like tracking. This sounds like learning, and this sounds like tracking. And also, what's the pledge? Like, there's you pledge to be in a sorority, so you have to do certain things to like pledge to be in it. And I was like, okay, like, what if we create a sales sorority for the year? I don't know what we're gonna do if guys join this thing. We'll have to make it a fraternity for them. But what if the pledge is, I teach them how to sell this summer, so they know the play-by-play. They know exactly what to do. And the sales sorority is to join the Millionaire's Desk Sales Suite. You pledge that you're going to sell for a year. Every day for a year. Do you know what your businesses would be like if you had the social media hygiene to sell something for a year? If you were hitting your key performance pieces on a daily basis and tracking it, and you had a sisterhood of people that you were doing this with? Can you imagine? I'm that person who's like, I'll fuck around and find out. And I pledged this to myself about 2 years ago. I pledged to myself, I will become the person that gets paid every day because I will sell every day. I'm going to put in and I'm going to get out. I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to make it a non-negotiable. I'm going to sell every day. I missed some days, but damn, it led to $1 million year. it was in this season that we got 90K in 90 days. Think about it. Think about it. So this concept of the cell sorority is what I'm about to talk about. We have a bundle that our team created around this concept, and it gives you all three options. It gives you consensual cells, which if you're watching this live, it opens on Wednesday. I'm going to teach you the masculine and feminine side of organic cells. It gives you the second piece, which is my 6-week deep dive cells training for the summer. It's called Permission to Sell, and I am going to get you selling this summer. If you know that you need to sell more, put yourself in an environment with other people who are thinking like you and they're going after this thing. Permission to Sell, 6 weeks this summer. And then late summer drops in your pledge. You're going to pledge. What are the letters again, Raven? We figured out what XMH is in Greek. I think it's Ki Moya Eta or something like that. So y'all are going to pledge to sell for 365 days. I know this is not for everyone, but this is for the type of person who's like, why not? Why don't I give something to shoot for? Why don't I give myself something to shoot for in business every single day? Why am I not trying? What if I could do this with a bunch of other people who are committed to it with me? I'm going to do it. And I learned this one a long time ago from an old mentor. I'm doing this with or without you. Would you like to do it with me? I'm escalating my brand to multi-millions this year. Would you like to give it a go? Because I'll be doing this whether you go with me or not, but would you like to come with me? That's the summer sales bundle. So if sales is something that you know that you are like 100%, I have to do this, get your bottom in there. I know it's scary. I know it's scary to say yes for a year, and this is why I'm going to give you the whole summer to train and learn the ropes before you commit, before you pledge. You're going to have plenty of time to learn the ropes, and then you're all in. So that is the sales suite, aka the Millionaire's Desk sales suite, because I'm going to teach you how to sell every single month. We're going to have trackers. We're going to help you track your progress. We're going to find out what's working, what's not working the greatest, and what we can change. It's going to be phenomenal. So that's coming up. And it starts this Wednesday. So my team has put the link in the comments on Facebook. Those links are also available on Instagram. They're up in my link tree, or you can just DM me for specifically what you want, which is such a vibe. And I want to wrap this up with one more cute thing. Yesterday I mentioned something that's completely complimentary. Did you guys catch it? It's called the Day Pass. Did you see that? Yeah. And Myra's live. She's in. She's in for the sales suite. Hey! And a bunch of other stuff. Yee. Yesterday I was talking about the Day Pass. Listen, I know a lot of people have bought things blind in this industry. I know you have. I know I have. I've bought a lot of things on hype. I've bought a lot of things on FOMO. I've bought a lot of things not knowing what I was buying, and that I was underwhelmed when I got inside. So we have our highest end mastermind. It's called Locked and Loaded. It's a strict 12-month commitment. And I know it's a big deal for you guys to say yes to this because it's a multi-5-figure investment. It's a pretty fair one, though, if you consider I spent $300,000 to learn what I teach inside, and it's a fraction of the price of what I paid. It's a year-long commitment, locked and loaded, and I want to give people the opportunity to experience it and say a 100% informed, consented yes. So if you have been looking for your mentorship home, your mastermind home, and you have seriously been thinking about joining Locked and Loaded, my team and I have created an experience that's worth over $5,000 per individual who joins. It's called the Day Pass. And if you are seriously considering Locked and Loaded, I invite you to apply to be part of the Day Pass. If you'd like it, just reach out. You can use Messenger, or you can click the button below if you see a button. and you can apply to be part of this. It is an application process, so we're looking to make sure that we are a good match, mentor and client. And we do look through everything. We make very specific suggestions for your brand. This experience it's about a 24-hour experience where you have access to myself, my team, and some very specific tools for your brand growth. And it's open this month. So if you'd like to apply for Day Pass, I love that, Myra. I'm just looking, I'm distracted by the comments. Myra said, the moment I can afford Locked and Loaded, I'm so in. She did the Day Pass as well. Tahani did the Day Pass. So yeah, and I see over on Instagram, God's Gem 7. What's up, girl? She was also in the Day Pass. So people are loving this experience. If you want to apply for it, just reach out to my team, tell us the word Day Pass, or click one of the buttons below to apply, and we'll be running that again this month. But you got to move because it fills really fast, like super fast. And with that, ladies and gents, I'm just going to close the space out. I hope that you got some real gold out of the last 2 days. I hope I've really awakened possibilities for you. I hope I've rewritten some programs for you. I hope that you're walking away with some different stuff in your head in terms of phrases about your possibilities. And if you do me a favor, can you write underneath this video one phrase that changed your mind today? And I'll see a bunch of you inside of our sales programs this summer, and a bunch of you inside of the Day Pass and Locked and Loaded. I love you guys so much. Have the best day. And bye.